throw down. Heartbeats racing, can't slow down. Feel the tension, feel the heat. Emotions hitting on repeat. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night.
Good day to you all. Welcome back to Wrestling with Emotions. Feels like it's been a while. It's been a while. That's a Stained impression. Great song. Was a great band. Yeah, welcome back. Wrestling with Emotions, episode 7. It's been a couple of weeks, or at least a week. Feels like it's been a while. Because at a particular point I was rolling these out on a pretty good clip. But last weekend had some engagements on a personal level. Dog sitting, a sweet big dog, with our dog. So I just couldn't find the time, and I didn't want to move. Fellas, I'm sure you can kind of feel this sometimes. I felt guilty basically leaving my wife alone just to take care of the dogs. And not that I didn't leave them a bunch of times, to be honest with you. I went out to the stores and stuff like that. But I did feel bad if I wasn't engaged or, just kind of leaving everything to her because it was a lot. But anyways, we're back. I'm excited to talk because now we've got a lot to kind of cover in terms of we've had 2 weeks basically of Raw, SmackDown. So we're going to kind of give you the highlights and talk through some of the big changes and updates to the WrestleMania 41 card. Let's backtrack really quickly and go back to overseas. I forget where they were. I think it was England. London. For a Monday Night Raw. Oh, no, that was this week. Well, yeah, let's start off with. Let's go here. I was gonna start to talk about the three-way main event with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. But let's go here first. I was going to finish or talk about this a little bit more. But Cody Rhodes and John Cena meet in the middle of the ring one more time this week on Monday Night Raw. And it delivered on all kinds of levels. Basically, Cody Rhodes started this. Basically, let's start over. So Cena's music hits. He hits the ring. He's about to say something on the mic, and then Cody's music hits. He comes to the ring, cuts John off, and starts basically going 8 Mile on John Cena in terms of calling out all the things that John Cena could possibly do to make fun of him, to cook him, as he was saying. On the microphone, he referenced, obviously, low-hanging fruit like his lisp, the arm tattoo that he has prominently featured on his neck. I went into kind of some of those typical tropes that people usually kind of talk about with Cody Rhodes. John Cena takes the mic at that particular point, doesn't say, "I'm not here to cook you, I'm here to bury you," which is a play on the fact that for decades, John Cena's rise to prominence also featured a number of instances where he was thought to have buried talent that was on the up and coming. Think of the new Nexus or the Nexus with Wade Barrett and company. A lot of talent on that particular group. He was part of one of the first reasons or segments where Daniel Bryan at that time got fired for going for being too physical, essentially. But he destroys Cody on the mic here. I think he did a great job where he said he is talent. He doesn't bury people, he buries mediocrity. And it was a great back and forth, one that, in typical previous feuds, nobody, with some exceptions, could hang with John on the mic. But Cody did a great job. The retort, the comeback, calling him, "You're still my hero, but you're a piece of shit." I thought that was terrific. John basically saying that he was a made creation, which is ironic and obviously a setup for Cody to kind of take the ball on that, because Cena's essentially the definition of a company created wrestler, right? I mean, OVW, former bodybuilder, no real ties to the industry to note, and Cody's obviously a generational superstar that goes back to different levels of family, and it's a family business for him. So I thought that was a great back and forth. Cena goes to leave the ring, and then Cody hits him with at least they never said you can't wrestle. To which Cena comes back into the ring. Cody hits him with the crossroads, hangs over him with the belt. Really, really great. I think, the stuff about when John Cena was like, I've created billionaires and all you've done is take money from their kids. A shot, obviously, at his time working with both Vince and Tony Khan, two sons of billionaires or millionaires. I thought this was great. I thought this finally really kicked things to another level. I think this is also one of the final times, apparently, that John is actually scheduled prior to WrestleMania. And here it is, Saturday the 5th. That means basically we have 2 more weeks of wrestling TV build. And then we are right into WrestleMania weekend. Wow, this is moving fast. This is exciting. So let me know what you think. I think it was a great promo. I thought it was a great battle. I think it was really good to see them both kind of on equal footing. Like I said, John Cena has torched people before on the microphone. I mean, years ago when he came back, I think this is when Roman Reigns is still the big dog character, and infamously said, if you're going to do this, you gotta work on the promo. But he, went off script and destroyed that. Then back in 2012, when he destroyed The Rock for having, The Rock had his promo crib note on his wrist, crushed him, just destroyed him. So it was good to see this back and forth. I think it made Cody look good. But I was thinking about this. There's going to be a lot of people that will obviously think that Cody should probably win, right? I mean, he's the good guy, all that stuff. I think the better story, the better angle, and the better narrative to go through the next several months of Cena's final run is to have him with that title one more time. I don't give a fuck about Ric Flair's legacy. The guy's a noted scumbag. I mean, yes, he is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. But let's stop. We continue to put these guys on pedestals that they don't belong on, from a personal standpoint. So, yes, legend in the business, but give Cena the ball and let him run with that, beat that record. And then Charlotte was like, no matter what happens, I'll beat the record on my side. And no one cares, Charlotte. No one gives a fuck. I actually felt bad for her this week, hearing her story and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that maybe in a few minutes. But anyways, here we go. So John Cena and Cody Rhodes, they're ready to go. Let me know what you think. I am looking forward to this. I think Cena has to win this. I think it'll set up a more exciting year. Probably give Cody a break for a little bit as well. See what happens there. And then we move into the next phase, which is Cena saying he's going to basically take the title and go home, a la CM Punk a decade ago. But we'll see. Let me talk about some other matches and things that happened. So, online is a dangerous and terrible place to be and live. You watch crowd reactions for Jey Uso, and then you go online or hear about these things on the side where they're just lighting this dude up. It's the first year, I don't know in how long, or maybe all time. Maybe not all time, but maybe it's been a while. I can't remember the statistic. But essentially, the two winners of the Royal Rumble, both the men's and women's, it's one of the first times that they neither will headline or main event one of the nights of WrestleMania. You've got on the men's side Gunther and Jey Uso. I think Monday finally took this into another another level. A bloody beatdown of Jimmy Uso in front of Jay. Finally, some engaging storytelling with these guys, making Gunther look like a total monster on this, which was necessary to continue to push this narrative, and obviously it seems to be setting up Jey Uso and the Yeet movement to continue to move forward with that. So now they've made it personal. The mind games piece, I think, the amount of blood that they had in that was wild. But I believe that Jimmy Uso will help possibly, Jay win the title. Gunther is somebody I believe, that it doesn't hurt him to lose this match. It doesn't bury him. He's still one of the strongest performers in WWE, both on the mic and in the ring. He's still a force, and I think he's somebody that'll have a resurgence in one of the title pictures moving forward. So it doesn't hurt him to lose. I think it would hurt Jay to lose a little bit, especially after all the build and the fanfare. I think it's probably the right thing to do. But WWE continues to show you that just when you think you know what's going on, they'll change things up. So with that said, that is a match that is all set, ready to go. I really don't think there's tons of momentum or anything that really needs to be done to kind of continue to build that. Excuse me. Yep, we're keeping that in. We're keeping the coffin. You love it. Let's move on to the women's title match. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. I think Tiffany did a great job yesterday on the mic, redeeming herself a little bit from the video segment from the week before, I believe it was, where Charlotte basically just didn't let her speak, basically pulled a John Cena on Roman Reigns situation and cooked her from afar on the camera, and she looked like a deer in the headlights a little bit and lost a little bit in her work and her promo. So I think she did a really great job this week. And again, I said I felt bad for Charlotte. I'll say this, and I'm trying to think about it too, because I always paint myself into these corners, and this is where the emotions part comes into the fucking wrestling with emotions piece. Is I'll say things that make no sense, okay? But in my mind, they do. I was going to say, I'm trying to think of another superstar like a Charlotte Flair. And Natalia's, okay, here's another one. They could have built, obviously Natalya is another wrestler, unfortunately, also another woman, which sucks too, because they're just recycling gimmicks here instead of kind of like building individual characters. But she is somebody, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm defending the women. Not that they need to be defended, but I'm just saying I think it would have been interesting to see like a Natalya come in with a different gimmick that was not totally tied to her family. You know what I mean? Same thing with Charlotte Flair. I think they're both people who have lived on legacy more than I'm trying to think of anybody else, both men and women. Yes, you've got Cody Rhodes, but he's his own guy. I mean, you have Dustin Rhodes. He's his own guy. They've been multiple characters. They're not essentially, they're not essentially, like Cody Rhodes isn't coming out in, I know he's done tribute gear and stuff like that before. That doesn't count. He's not coming out in the polka dots wrestling as Dusty Rhodes. You know what I mean? Where you have Natalya and essentially Charlotte Flair wrestling as the gimmicks of their fathers or their family members. So with that said, I don't like the character for Charlotte Flair. I think it's annoying. I think it's so on the nose. It's supposed to be an homage to her father, and it's no secret either. I mean, they're not hiding it. It's all she is, with the woos and all that bullshit. I think she's boring. Yes, she's probably good on the mic. Yes, she's an incredible athlete, but I think there's nothing there that's exciting to me. But I did feel bad for her this week because obviously, if you're not familiar, she was married to Andrade. I didn't know she was married prior to this as well. It doesn't matter. Things happen. But I did feel bad. I saw an interview where she was, in tears. Basically, the last year was one of the hardest years of her life. She tried to hide the fact that she was not What's the word? She didn't want to be like her dad in the failed relationship department. She tried to keep it a secret, of course, that she had even gotten divorced again. I just felt really bad for her because deep down, I think she probably is. She probably is a terrific person, but I just don't. I don't like when certain characters are just continuously over to the extent that like a Charlotte is, Cena in his time, Randy Orton at a certain point, when things were rolling. It just gets redundant, and you're dumbing it down for the audience. I think it's just a bad move, but I think Tiffany did a pretty decent job in this segment of trying to regain some footing. It's still not a match that I don't think anybody's, from a build standpoint, super excited about. I mean, it is what it is. I'm excited because they're both very talented in the ring, and I'm looking to see, what they do with Tiffany. I think obviously this means a lot more to her from a push standpoint. So I hope that she does win. I do enjoy her character. So you've got Tiffany and you've got Charlotte, another match. And then this one, excuse me, the World Women's title match. So last week we had Rhea Ripley essentially getting her rematch against Io Sky for the world title match, women's world title match with, excuse me, geez Louise, allergies, with Bianca Belair as the guest referee in this. Nothing could go wrong in those situations, right? So basically, there's back and forth, there's interference, etc., etc. Io Sky retains the title, Rhea flips out. I don't believe it's officially been announced, but it's a foregone conclusion that this will, in some form or fashion, end up being a three-way match between Io, Bianca, and Rhea Ripley. The bummer part for me on this is Io's kind of lost in the shuffle, playing third wheel as the actual title holder. Is a little bit of a bummer, but and you can tell from a fan support standpoint, people get that, people acknowledge that, and they are, voicing that when you see these live segments that take place. But it'll be a good match, I think. Either way, all three women have experience working each other. And I think, they'll put on a good show. Regardless of who ends up retaining or winning, it'll be interesting to see. I think, I'll say predictions, I think. I know I've given a couple of predictions, or at least talked about what I think would be interesting. In a segment titled, I had no idea this was even a thing, because I don't even really watch some of these matches. We've got we got four matches. Well, yeah, at least four matches that I had no idea or care about. But I will say I am interested in seeing them now that I see them pen to paper. We've got the United States title match set, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. I think both of these guys, LA Knight I think is terrific on the microphone. I know people point to Jacob Fatu as being great as well. He says the same thing over and over again, and I know LA Knight does as well, but it's all about delivery, and maybe I just haven't watched enough of Jacob Fatu, and maybe I'm just tired in general of the bloodline bullshit. But that should be an interesting match nonetheless. Maybe Jacob goes over. Again, not a predictions match, or not a prediction show. The second match that I'm like, okay, I guess I saw this coming. The WWE Women's Tag Team title match, still to be decided, but you have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus the winners of a gauntlet match. I don't even know who's in the gauntlet, to be honest with you. I will cover that once we get to it. One that I'm decently excited for, just because well, I sound like a fucking DJ. Maybe I'm not even excited for it, but I'm just glad that it's on the. I think both of these guys deserve, obviously, to be here. Is Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre. As you're looking at the card, it's seemingly buried further and further down. So, not exactly getting their due from where they were, this time last year, even where Damian was vying for the world title. Drew cashed in and won, and then CM Punk obviously, turned the tables and cost him that championship within minutes. And then you've got Yeah, Damian cashed in the title. I'm sorry, the briefcase, not Drew. Then you got a singles match, and I'm glad AJ Styles is getting a match. I could give a shit about Logan Paul. There is such a level of arrogance, and I know they're trying to play it from a promo standpoint, like, oh, when they're booing you, that's because you're top heel. They're booing this guy because no one likes him as a person. Let's be fucking crystal clear. But you got AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. That should still be a good match. Both guys can go. And then Naomi versus Jade Cargill. Which to me, despite the build and the history here now that they're promoting with this match, Naomi is serviceable. Jade is limited in what you can do in the ring. It's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be oh god, it's gonna be one of those matches that's gonna be second place on one of the nights. It'll go on second. There's not much these two women can do to put on something I think that's gonna be spectacular, unless they add some type of stipulation to the match, to make it a little bit more interesting. But just a straight up wrestling match, given the history, would be kind of flat in my opinion. And now you've got a lot of question marks. One that I'm a little annoyed about, and that's where the fuck is Chelsea Green's match at WrestleMania? Arguably one of the top stars in the company. No bullshit, not just because I'm an incredible fan. But you've got her, they put this woman everywhere. She is overseas. She's starting, it was either NASCAR or Formula One racing. She's on programming TV across the world. She's cheered in every arena that she's going to. She's over, and she has nothing right now programmed for WrestleMania. And it better not be Michin again, because no one cares. It better not be a pre-show match, because I'll tell you this much. If I'm looking at this card, take the women's tag team title match out of this. And again, I don't know who the winners of the gauntlet match are going to be. So it could be a formidable, I mean, it could be something exciting or interesting. But put Chelsea Green in the picture. And I'm talking about, this is over people too. Like, Randy Orton now does not have a match. If you didn't watch SmackDown last night, one of the other big developments out of that is Kevin Owens needs to step away for a little while to have neck surgery. And could it be a work? Possibly, most likely not. I believe it's a shoot injury that will truly require surgery. So he's out. Now who does Randy Orton face? You've got all these promos and cryptic vignettes for clearly who's a Malachi Black coming back. These fucking greasy, what is it? Greasy, squeaky wheel gets the grease guys that keep popping back up in fucking WWE or popping up for the first time. Ricky Stank, Penta, the Lucha Brothers do seem like good dudes. I'm happy that they got the shot that they wanted, but I do miss them in AEW. I think the tag team division over there is significantly lacking without those guys in there. But then you got guys like Malachi Black, who I think could have been a really dominant singles performer in AEW. Got the shot that he didn't get originally in WWE. But now he'll be back, so we'll see what they do with him. Could they hotshot him into a match with Randy Orton? I believe the way that it's earmarked now is for a situation where he'll probably appear maybe the night after WrestleMania. Something along those lines. But does that move the timeline up now that Randy Orton doesn't have anybody to face? Then you've got other matches that people are noting, like the Street Profits versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Laya Valkyria. That's probably a pre-match, to be honest with you, unless it's a big name that's coming back to face her. But they're rolling out some of like the weakest talent to face her weekly. And I'm not talking about people like Bayley. I mean, Bayley's outstanding. And then Braun Breaker and Penta obviously have their thing going on. Could that be a pre-match? That's to me like a pre-card, pre-match preview type situation. But let's get to the big story coming out of Friday. CM Punk opens the show with Paul Heyman. Paul wanting to know what the favor is that he's asking for, and he said, "Wait for Roman Reigns to show up finally, and I'll say it to both of you guys, basically in the center of the ring." So fast forward 3 hours of mundane programming. Excuse me, for the most part on a SmackDown Friday night to get to the main event, which is your face-off one more time: Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. I'll spare you all the details on the Roman piece that started the promo and everything, and Seth's piece. Feel bad for Seth Rollins in a way, and I'm not a gigantic Seth Rollins fan either. But at the same time, this guy continues to have to take a back seat. It seems like the last couple of years in these matches. You look at, for example, last year. Barring some injuries as well, he was in a rough spot where, he really definitely played second fiddle to the Cody Rhodes story. Even in the promotional stuff, like, you can tell, like, okay, this guy's kind of the odd man out with Roman, him, and The Rock, and Cody. So, long story short, this year too, he is basically the third wheel in his own main event. But I think he's playing it up extremely well. I think he's been very funny. But anyways, Punk comes into the ring. And, Seth essentially has said over and over again, this guy will stab this guy. Don't trust this guy. Don't trust this guy. And what we come to find out is, and just to kind of catch everybody up, the speculation for the longest time, excuse me, was that Punk, the favor that he was going to ask for, many assumed it would be whoever wins the match between Cody Rhodes and John Cena, Punk would get to face, and or he would get inserted into that match as well in night 2. That does not seem to be the case now. The favor in question is basically, I think they did a great piece of storytelling. Paul Heyman continues to show you why he is a fucking legend, with tears in his eyes. Basically, Punk goes through a story and a narrative of when Paul Heyman was fired many years ago. And if you've seen the CM Punk documentary that they had many years ago after he had won the title back, they put out a pretty nice, cool documentary on DVD and Blu-ray. But basically, he had mentioned, like, when they sent him to, it's either ECW the first time or someplace in Kentucky, they basically had given Paul Heyman the instructions to, like, fire this guy, basically. It's not going to work. But he fought hard for him, and obviously has been proven right over the years now. And long story short, when Paul Heyman was eventually fired, they talked about, showing and proving that you are a main event guy, and when you are in the main event, we'll be there together. So the favor is not to main event the second night with the champions, but to rather have Paul Heyman in his corner for this match versus him being in the corner of Roman Reigns. Great flip the script storytelling. Seth does a great job during this segment of laughing and, I told you so. Real funny stuff. I think he did a really great job. But, this kind of flips things around because like I said, the impression for the longest time, or at least from a fan standpoint, was, oh, he's going to be able to get into the main event now. But he is now in the main event, but the stipulations are a little bit different. So, very interesting. I think they've done a really great job with this segment as well. Building these guys. I mean, there is a definite bar from a talent standpoint that these guys set. An aura and I'm trying to think that, they really present the product in terms of, like, the story and everything extremely well. Where a lot of these other ones, they feel definitely scripted and contrived, and yes, you're excited on one hand, and the other side, you're just like, let's get through this and get to where we need to be. But I think they did a great job here. So very excited for that match and the build. And now we've got 2 weeks, like I said, of more programming to kind of catch up and see where the story takes us there. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing. I know, like I said, I skip over some of the things that are probably less important to you guys, but I'm interested to hear in the comments what you guys think. What have you thought about the programming recently? I know I kind of trashed, and everybody seems to be trashing the SmackDown 3-hour shows in general, to include what apparently seems to be talent within the company, saying how everything just kind of feels rushed or, slow moving on some of the shows. So very interested to see your impression, because like I said, I don't watch the full product. I will skip around on things that I'm looking for or things that I'm interested in hearing, or I'll watch the segments afterwards to kind of go into more depth and listen to things again and again. But I am interested to see what you guys think, because there is a lot of filler on some of these shows for sure. Well, what I'm going to do is, I was going to cut a second episode, but for the sake of time, you know what? I'll just do a second one. I'm going to come back probably tomorrow. Well, it'll have to be tomorrow or later today. And let's talk AEW Dynasty. Another pay-per-view by AEW on the heels of their last one, which was spectacular, Rampage. No, not Rampage, Revolution. So we've got more matches confirmed, and it should be good. For the most part, it should be good. Oh, fuck it. Let's just do it right now. Nah, we'll save it. See, I'm insane. You guys have a good day.
Out in the ring where we throw down, heartbeats racing, can't slow down. Feel the tension, feel the heat, emotions hitting on repeat. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. In this world emotions crash. Tangled up in thoughts we spin, in the chaos we begin, finding strength that's deep inside, facing fears we cannot hide. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. In this world emotions crash. Every grapple, every hold tells a story to be told. Raw and real and full of fire, pushing through the darkest mire. Wrestling with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. In this world emotions crash.